Studio microphone title: The Last Queen of France, The Shocking Death of Marie Antoinette. Full stop. Welcome to our channel. Today, we dive deep into one of the most haunting and controversial stories in European royal history, the tragic fall and public execution of Marie Antoinette, the last queen of France before the French Revolution swept the monarchy away in blood. She was once a symbol of glamour and royalty, adored, hated, misunderstood. Born in Austria and married into the powerful French Bourbon dynasty, she lived in palaces of unimaginable luxury. Yet she died alone, in the bitter cold, in front of a furious crowd who once called her Madame Deficit. She was just 37 years old. But Marie Antoinette's death wasn't just the end of a queen, it marked the collapse of a centuries-old monarchy. It symbolized the rage of a starving people, the dawn of a violent revolution, and the cost of being at the wrong place, at the wrong time, wearing the wrong crown. Was she a careless spender or a victim of propaganda? A heartless queen or a misunderstood mother and wife? Stay with us as we reveal the true story, from her glittering rise to her humiliating fall, from the echoing halls of Versailles to the dark, damp prison cells of the Conciergerie. This is the untold story of Marie Antoinette's death, and why it still haunts France to this day. From palace to prison, Marie Antoinette was born on November 2, 1755, in Vienna, Austria. She was the 15th child of Empress Maria Theresa and Emperor Francis I. At just 14 years old, she was married off to Louis Auguste, the future Louis XVI of France, to seal an alliance between Austria and France. In 1774, she became the Queen of France, and soon, she was living a life of opulence in the Grand Palace of Versailles. But behind the walls of her silk-draped chambers, a storm was building. While the royal family dined on delicacies and danced at masked balls, the people of France suffered. Bread prices soared. Hunger was everywhere. The monarchy was blind to the people's misery. Rumors swirled that Marie Antoinette said, "Let them eat cake," when told the peasants had no bread. Although historians believe she never actually said this, the phrase became a symbol of her supposed indifference. But the real turning point came in 1789. The French Revolution had begun. The Bastille was stormed. The monarchy's power was crumbling. Louis XVI tried to compromise. Marie Antoinette refused. She stood firm, even when it was dangerous. To the revolutionaries, she was an arrogant foreigner, spending lavishly while the people starved. In 1791, the royal family tried to escape to Austria in a desperate plan known as the Flight to Varennes. They were caught and dragged back to Paris, humiliated in front of the nation. From then on, they were prisoners. Versailles was gone. The golden days were over. The revolution had arrived. The trial begins. In January 1793, King Louis XVI was put on trial and executed by guillotine. The blade fell, and the French monarchy crumbled. Now, all eyes turned to Marie Antoinette. She was transferred to the Conciergerie, a gloomy prison known as Death's Antechamber. Her children were taken from her. Her hair turned white in a matter of months. Her health deteriorated, but she held her head high. Her trial began on October 14, 1793. The charges: treason, conspiracy, and sexual abuse, even of her own son. The accusations were brutal, and many were invented by her enemies. The once queen now stood in a simple black dress before a revolutionary court that had already decided her fate. She denied the charges with calm dignity. "I appeal to all mothers present in this courtroom," she said, responding to the most vile accusation. But the court wasn't there to listen, they wanted revenge. After 2 days of brutal questioning, she was declared guilty. Her sentence: death by guillotine. The last morning. On the morning of October 16, 1793, Marie Antoinette awoke to the sound of guards entering her tiny cell. She had been kept in constant surveillance. Her hair was cut. Her hands were tied behind her back. Unlike Louis XVI, who was taken to his execution in a covered carriage, Marie was paraded through the streets of Paris in an open cart. Her royal dignity reduced to a spectacle. She wore a plain white dress, the color of mourning in France. The streets were lined with people, shouting insults, laughing, spitting. The once beloved queen, now Widow Capet, was on her final journey. But witnesses say she remained calm. She did not cry. She did not scream. She sat tall, regal to the very end. At 12:15 p.m., she arrived at the Place de la Révolution. The guillotine stood ready. The crowd was massive. The drums rolled. History was about to be made. As she climbed the scaffold, she stepped on the executioner's foot and said, "Pardon me, sir, I did not mean to do it." Those were her last words. Then, in a flash, the blade fell. The crowd roared. The queen was dead. The aftermath. Marie Antoinette's severed head was displayed for all to see. Her body was dumped in an unmarked grave in the Madeleine Cemetery. No royal funeral, no monument, just silence. But her death sent shockwaves through Europe. Austria mourned the daughter it once sent to France. Monarchies across the continent trembled. If it could happen in France, the center of art, luxury, and enlightenment, it could happen anywhere. For the revolutionaries, it was a victory. For others, it was murder. But as time passed, opinions shifted. In 1815, after the fall of Napoleon, the monarchy was briefly restored. King Louis XVIII ordered the remains of Marie Antoinette and Louis XVI to be exhumed and buried with royal honors at the Basilica of Saint-Denis, the traditional resting place of French monarchs. Her memory was no longer just of a villainous queen, but of a tragic woman caught in the chaos of history. Was she guilty? The question that still divides historians today is simple: was Marie Antoinette guilty? She was undeniably out of touch with her people. Her spending habits were extravagant. Her political decisions often stubborn. But was she evil? Was she the heartless villain painted by revolutionary propaganda? Or was she a scapegoat? A foreign queen surrounded by enemies, blamed for a broken system she didn't create. She loved her children fiercely. Her letters show concern, intelligence, and pain. She refused to abandon her husband, even when it would have saved her. She showed remarkable courage in the face of death. Her enemies called her Madame Deficit. Today, some call her a martyr. The truth is complicated. Marie Antoinette became a symbol of both excess and resistance, of monarchy and rebellion, of innocence and guilt. That's what makes her story unforgettable. Marie Antoinette in popular culture. More than 2 centuries after her death, Marie Antoinette remains a pop culture icon. Her image appears in movies, books, fashion shows. Sofia Coppola's 2006 film gave her a punk rock twist. In literature, she is sometimes romanticized, sometimes demonized. Artists paint her. Historians debate her. Tourists flock to Versailles, still curious about her life. But why? Because her story is timeless. It's about beauty, power, downfall, and redemption. It's about how quickly fortune can change. How history chooses its heroes and villains. And how a single person can become larger than life. Outro. Marie Antoinette lived in silk and died in rags. She ruled in glory and died in disgrace. Her life was a fairy tale with a bloody ending, one that still echoes through time. Her story teaches us about power, and how fragile it is. It shows us how easily people can be blinded by hatred, how dangerous misinformation can be, and how history isn't always written by the fair or the just. In the end, Marie Antoinette was not just a queen. She was a woman, a wife, a mother. She laughed, cried, loved, and feared, just like us. Her life reminds us that behind every symbol, every legend, there is a human story. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more incredible historical journeys. This was the rise and fall of Marie Antoinette, the last Queen of France.